All the best. Thanks.
Apologize, but I do on his behalf because I know that he really wanted to be here, and unfortunately he couldn't be. You know, we had to convince him, a lot of us actually, the whole of the council, to not be here because he wanted to be here. But you know, with everything happening in the government, he thought that being here would divert the attention from the main course and actually be detrimental in a way to the progress of this event. So I stand here apologizing because I know you expected a lot better, and still hoping that I still get to represent him, although I can't fill his big shoes. Okay, so I'm going to start by reading his speech and then I'll add something after. Okay. His speech is titled Chibok and the Mirror in Our Faces, Some Reflections on Gender in Our Society, by His Highness Muhammad Sanusi II, CEO and Sarkin Kano. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. It is a great honor for me to have been invited to speak on this landmark occasion of the third year of the atrocities and barbaric attacks in Chibok that led to the capture of hundreds of young girls from the school. In 3 years, Nigerians have been horrified by this act and the consequent crimes of forced marriage, forced labor, and may even be sold into slavery. Let me begin by congratulating my sister and friend Obi Ezekwesili and all other sisters and brothers in BBOG who have kept this issue alive and remain committed until we see all the girls back. As we remember the girls captured in Chibok 3 years ago, we must remember that they constitute only a fraction of the victims of this insurgency. I would urge BBOG, while you keep this issue of Chibok on the table, to broaden your message to cover all girls and boys abducted by Boko Haram, and also draw attention to the condition of girls and women in our society in general. To give you an idea of the extent of this problem, as at today, in Delori 2 IDP camp near Maiduguri alone, there are over 1,500 Boko Haram girls who are either Boko Haram abducted girls who are either pregnant or carrying babies who have been freed by military. Hundreds of orphan children are being carried away to unknown destinations, and they're all gone into oblivion due to society's neglect. It is therefore critical for the BBOG to gain much broader support in the populace and be more effective. To use the dramatic case of the Chibok girls as a reference and a plank, but not the exclusive focus of the struggle. Our interest should be in bringing back all our girls. But after these girls are brought back, should we ask ourselves as well, where are they being brought back to? What kind of society? How much better is the normal environment we all take for granted than the Boko Haram camps? These questions ultimately force us to face the reality that the kind of society we have created is, in fact, is the root cause of the emergence of groups like Boko Haram and occurrences like the Chibok tragedy. All my life, I have been engaged deeply with the question of women and the oppressed and marginalized groups in our society. I have come to accept, like you, that remaining committed to this discourse is a risky and potentially costly venture in this environment. The elite's consensus is about a culture of silence and complicity, where everyone remains in his or her own comfort zone, and where the voiceless majority are allowed to remain where they are. The argument, it seems, is why should you care about poor rural women when you're able to educate your own daughters in the best schools in the world? Why should you hold up a mirror to our faces, expose our unclean underbelly, and remind us of the British life to which over many decades we have subjected a large mass of our population? Our colleagues and compatriots among the elite do not like statistics. Numbers are disturbing. I recently gave a speech in which I said the northeast and northwest of Nigeria are the poorest parts of the country. This simple statement of fact has generated so much heat. The noise is yet to die down. But what really are the facts? The Oxford Poverty and Human Development Initiative and the UNDP in 2015 published data on the incidence of poverty in Nigeria, showing that on average 46% of Nigerians are living in poverty. This is based on the UN's Global Multidimensional Poverty Index, which focuses on education, health, and living standards. Although this average is in itself bad, It masks even more serious internal inequalities and incidences of extreme poverty by region and gender. So, for example, the southwest of Nigeria has less than 20% of its population living in poverty, while the north has more than 80% of its population living in poverty. In the northeast, the figure is 76.8%. Over 90% of the people in Yobe and Zamfara states are living in poverty, compared to 8.5% in Lagos and around 11% in Osun and Anambra. The response to this speech has been a barrage of personal attacks and insults aimed at silencing any voices that dare shine the light on society, to which we are saying, bring back our girls. There are those who believe these attacks are aimed at discrediting me personally, but even if that is the objective, it will not work. I can only be discredited by what I have done and not by insults and lies on social media. And in any event, personal criticism has no impact on the issues. These attacks are aimed at diverting attention from the issues raised, and all of us who are involved in this struggle must remember a few things. We are dealing with an anti-intellectual environment. And with people whose failure has bred a sense of insecurity, which leads to incomprehensible, almost insane reactions to simple advice. Secondly, that these problems are deep-seated and have been there for a long time, so changing mindsets will be difficult and painful. Finally, we must never succumb to the temptation to join our opponents in the gutter. You may say what you like about me for as long as you like, so long as you address the issues. As Michelle Obama famously said, when they go low, we go high. Instead of hiding these statistics and being scared of repeating them, what we need to do is bring out even more of these data. These are already published and easily verifiable, but not often discussed in the public space. But these data help us understand what poverty means for girls and women. According to published research, over 70.8% of women in the Northwest are unable to read and write, compared to 9.5% in the Southeast zone. More than 2/3 of 15 to 19-year-old girls in the North are unable to read a single sentence, compared to less than 10% in the South. In 8 northern states, over 80% of the women are unable to read and write. Only 4% of females complete secondary school in northern Nigeria. 78% of adolescent girls in marriages in the Northwest, 68% in the Northeast, and 35% in the North Central. These numbers clearly mirroring the poorest regions in the country. The statistics in the other zones are 18% in South-South, 17% in Southwest, and 18% in Southeast. Apart from the huge loss of productivity and income caused by the lack of focus in education, especially for girls, rate of over 1,500 per 100,000. Apart from the huge loss of productivity and incomes caused by the lack of focus in education, especially for girls, adolescent marriages have led to serious social and health incomes. One Nigerian woman dies in childbirth every 10 minutes. The Northeast zone has maternal mortality rate of over 1,500 per 100,000. This is more than 5 times the global average. I can go on and on. These statistics are not flattering, and they speak to a truth that is inconvenient to most of us. But the culture of silence must end. We have a problem. In fact, we have an existential crisis. And all of us in this country, politicians, intellectuals, emirs and traditional rulers, religious leaders, businesses, NGOs, have to come together to solve this. The real patriots in the North are those who are honest enough to accept the reality and insist on change. The consequences of ignoring this crisis are unimaginable, and I wonder if the public generally recognizes this. It is a vicious cycle. Children of educated mothers are 50% more likely to survive beyond the age of 5, and educated mothers are more likely to send their own children to school. Meanwhile, every extra year of education for a girl child could increase her earning capacity by 10%.